So agriculture and metallurgical insights from an Indus settlement in the Western Rajasthan, evidence for the human intervention and climate change. So agriculture has been, knowledge of the past agricultural activities and contemporary environment has important bearing on concurrent climate change, stress agriculture that is, and, and security of present human population on earth. So there is an importance of past agricultural practices to learn the past agricultural practices because we all know that the past human-plant relationship is a fundamental aspect to understand the Asian societies and their development. Let us just have a glimpse of the old other evidences, paleoethnobotanical evidences, which has been recovered from the other sites. So why we study the Indus Valley civilization? Because it's the oldest and the most developed human regime from the past, and it has created a pathway to the other subsequent cultures. So there are a number of archaeobotanical evidences from the different Harappan site, but the earliest one are the Mohenjo-daro, Harappa, and there are a number of carbonized botanical remains, soil sediment, and botanical and abotanical components which has been recovered from the different archaeological sites and has contributed a lot to the agricultural and vegetation diversity in context of climate condition. And several cultivated as well as wild taxa as of the human food source have also been yielded from the number of archaeological sites. So Harappan subsistence has been a debated topic among scholars. So as you can see here, this is it has been studied in the two region. As you can see, this is the core region, which is where the system of which is mainly based on the winter and summer crops, and it's highly advanced system because of the adequate water supply and the perennial rivers. But in contrast, in the peripheral region, there is a lack of the perennial rivers. So the subsistence mainly played a role by the millets, and the presence has been interpreted as a secondary revolution. So this is the site which has been studied during my PhD. So it's an Indus site and it's located in the Anuppur district of the Rajasthan. Here you can see the site. So the site is mainly situated at the dry bed of the Ghaggar River in the western Rajasthan, and the location falls along the Indo-Pakistan border, and it's considered as a semi-arid region actually. And the excavation at the site has been done by ASI and the other excavation branch. So here you can see the aerial view of the site, and here is the excavated trenches, which belongs to the mature Harappan phase, and here is the early Harappan phase trench. So what are the major points I have considered for this study, which I have focused for this study, are the major cropping system practiced during the Indus era, and timing and diversification of and utilization of crops. Another is the evaluating changes in agricultural strategies underpinning monsoon and climate change, retrieving past crop water status, manuring practices, and agricultural intensification. Apart from this botanical perspective or agricultural perspective, I have also been studied the metallurgical prowess of the Harappan sites because this site has a unique industrial feature. So how we retrieve the crop and the soil sediment from the site. So here you can see the excavated trenches, and from there we have collected the number of soil sediments, the number of piles of soil sediment, and these are collected through the sequential stratigraphical manner. From these sediments, we have segregated these microbotanical remains by water flotation techniques. And another one, the soil sediment samples has been collected in a stratigraphic manner. You can see here from the mature and the early Harappan phase to study the stable carbon, nitrogen, arsen, and sulfur isotopes, magnetic susceptibility analysis, XRF, and radiocarbon dating. By doing these analysis, we interpret and generate data in terms of paleo-agricultural and paleo-environmental reconstruction. So here you can see the chronological framework of the site. Here, the site is based on the 9 radiocarbon dates, in which 4 are the from where the 7 dates are from the AMS, and 2 are from the conventional radiocarbon dates. As you can see here, the dates are from the botanical material which has been recovered from the site, that is wheat, rice, and 2 barley from the different cultural phases. As you can see, the different phases has been well corroborated with the cultural material of the site as well. So here is the stratigraphy of the site, which has been arranged from the early Harappan phase to the mature phase. And this particular site dated from 29 to 1800 BCE is well differentiated into early phase, transitional phase, as well as mature phase. This Bayesian model has been created, and it's going well with the dates. So the time bracket for the site has been ranged from 280 to 1691 BCE. So basically, the culture, this site has been divided into 3 phases, which is early Harappan phase, which is the food producing phase or agricultural phase mainly, which ranged between 29 to 2600 BCE. Another one is the transitional phase, which showing the shift from agriculture to the industrial phase, which is 26 to 2500 BC. And another one is the mature Harappan phase, which mainly shows the industrial activities, but with the habitation as well as the advanced agriculture. And it ranged 25 to 1800 BC. The late phase has not been recovered from the site. And here are the recovered botanical remains from the site, from the different cultural phases. Here you can see the grains of barley, wheat, and citeria, rice, and number of pulses are there. You can see chickpea, quinoa, and lentil, and there are number of oil and fiber crops like sesamum, gossypium, and linum, along with some fruits like vitis. And along with this main crop taxa, we have also recovered the weeds and wild taxa from this site in association with these main crops. So here are the calculated data, which is the absolute count and diversity index from this particular taxa. And you can see here the diversity index of the crops along with the weed and wild taxa it goes from 0.7 to 1 actually. So here is the quantitative graphical representation of this crop taxa. As you can see here, the early phase is mainly dominated by the winter crops. As you can see, Hordeum triticum, which is wheat and barley. Another one is the pisum, and this is lentil. These are the winter crops, and these are mainly present in the early Harappan phase. And when we talk about the transitional phase, it's come from a uniseasonal to the biseasonal agricultural strategy, which is shown the winter as well as the summer crops. As you can see here, there are number of summer crops has also been came into account during the transitional phase. You can see here the Oryza, Soteria, Pigna, Gossypium, Sesamum, all are the winter summer crops, and this came in the transitional phase, maybe the due to the favorable water condition or to the monsoonal conditions. So during the mature phase, the intensification and diversification of crop has been observed. As you can see here, the crop has been more intensified during this phase, and the number of summer crops has been increased in that time period, and the proportion has also got increased because as you can see, the Soteria has been increased here, as well as the Gossypia, which is summer crop, has also been increased during the mature phase. So here is the comparative account which I have talked earlier, which can also be understood by this histogram. You can see how the proportion of the cereal, pulses, and oil crops has been increased during transitional as well as the mature phase. And when we talk about the diversity index of the plant taxa, you can see very well that the early phase, the diversity has been, how the diversity has been increased from 0.7 to 1 from early to the mature phase. So here you can see the proportion of the summer and winter crop. During the early phase, you can see here clearly the dominance of the winter crops, mainly based on the monsoonal or maybe the water availability of winter monsoon or winter water availability of the subsistence. So you can see it's the time period which basically correspond to the mid Holocene. So high rainfall with maximum winter monsoon has been evidenced. So maybe the high maximum winter monsoon has been created this condition to grown these winter crops, and the dominance has been evidenced from the early phase. So when we shift to towards the transitional phase, you can see here the summer crops have also been came into account, and the onset of modern monsoonal condition has been evidenced from the other parts of the India also. So here evidence of the strong Indian summer monsoon has been evidenced, which may be facilitate the growing condition for these crops. And later on, during the mature phase, you can see the dominance has been evidenced from the summer crops basically, and this time period also evidence the millets, and weakening of the Indian summer monsoon has also been evidenced. So you can see here the summer crops has been evidenced from this time period, and intensification of the crops has been also evidenced from this time period. But the evidence of millet has also been recorded, and indicating the weakening of the monsoon. So when we talk about agriculture, it's important to study it in detail. So the carbon and nitrogen isotopes of the crop remains, or along with the soil sediment, provide the promising tool for studying paleoclimate or paleoagricultural system. And it provide the direct means measure to the water and soil condition in which the plant grows. So when we talk about the carbon nitrogen isotope of the carbonized remains, it gives the conditions in which plant grow, and the crop water status, and the agricultural intensification or the intervention respectively. So here you can see when we talk about the carbon isotope of the plants, then the carbon isotope of the plants gives us the clue about the paleoclimate, paleohydrology, and paleodiet. When we have the enhanced value, then it gives the drier condition. When we have the depleted value, it gives the wetter condition. And the carbon isotopes delta 13C by using the delta 13C, we can also compute the carbon isotope discrimination factor, which in turn gives us the water use efficiency of the plant, which tells us about the irrigation or the natural water resources maybe for the particular area. And when we talk about the nitrogen isotope values, then it gives a paleodiet, land use history, and any kind of agricultural intervention like manuring or soil nutrition. So here I am not going to go into details of these parameters, but the carbon isotope can be measured by using this formula, but the discrimination factor has been can be used to infer water condition actually. And by using delta 13C value, we can compute this factor by using this formula. And water use efficiency, it is basically the water consumed by the plants, and it can be computed or calculated by this formula. And when we talk about the nitrogen isotope and the manuring kind of thing, then it's any sort of anthropogenic intervention in the arable land to increase its fertility and the agricultural productivity. So delta 15 and value of the chart remains in tandem with the host soil sediment can be used to understand or to learn the land use history of any kind of arable soil. And when we use the crop delta 15N, it gives us about the intensity of the agricultural practices along with the plant nutritional health. And when we talk about the delta 15N, it also gives us the clues about the soil aridity and higher values for the dry soil and vice versa. So here you can see there are number of carbon nitrogen isotopes of the organic and inorganic environment. So here you can see the C3 plants range from 23, 22 to 38 and per mil, and C4 plants around -8 to -11 per mil. Here you can see nitrogen values are being shown here, and here is the data from the site from where we have collected sample, that is 4-MSR, and for this particular analysis, we have collected barley and cotton. Barley because it's a winter crop, and cotton because it's a summer crop. So we want to analyze the stable isotopes and the water condition along with the manuring or any kind of agriculture intervention for both the seasons. So we have collected winter as well as summer crops. As you can see here, here is the box whisker plot of barley cotton, which is showing the enriched value actually from the transitional phase towards the mature phase. But in contrast, you can see there is the depletion in the values of delta 13C from early phase to transitional phase, and more or less same in the mature phase. So the cotton values has been shown here gives us the clues that the conditions are become drier during the mature phase, but for the summer season. But during the mature phase in the winter season, it has been same and provided by the favorable water conditions. And when we talk about the delta 15N of the both the crops, it shown increased trend from early phase to mature phase. Here also you can see transitional to mature phase. You can see here the increasing trend. So any kind of agriculture intervention or manuring practices has been practiced during the transitional or mature phase. Here, we have also analyzed the soil sediment for corroborating our data. So we have collected these early phase, transitional and mature phase soil sediment, and we have analyzed the total organic carbon, delta 13C and 15N. So here are the values. You can see here the early phase is mainly has the depleted values, whereas the mature phase is having the enriched values, which is showing the early Harappan was favored by the better water conditions. But when we talk about the mature phase, in contrast, it has shown relatively enriched values and drier condition and deficient water condition status was there. But when we talk about the 15N, then you can see here then increasing trend has been shown here, and the some kind of manuring like animal based or other agricultural manuring has been found from this time period, and from transitional towards the mature phase has been found from this site, and the agriculture intensification has also been evidenced. Here you can see the comparison of the both crops in terms of delta 13C and in the delta 15N. You can see the green are from the modern crops, and blue one are from the Indus crops. So all the Indus era crop delta 13C values are significantly enriched with respect to their modern counterparts, and Indus crop are grown relatively in poorer hydrological condition in comparison to the present day status actually. But when we talk about the delta 15N, then it indicates the higher value for the Indus crop, but lower values you can see for the modern day crops. But so it can be it can suggest that the kind of animal manuring or kind of other agriculture manuring has been done for the Indus crops. But for today crops, manuring has also been done. But you can see when we use the nitrogen-based fertilizer, it shifts our stable isotope value towards the 0. So we can see here, so Indus crops having the more nitrogen value. Here are the imprints of the metallurgical activities from the similar site. So you can see here there are number of different hearths and large furnaces from the site. So their shapes are different, made for the different purposes maybe. And here are the circular hearth you can see with the air holes. Here are the hearths with ash. There are series of large furnaces. There are different kind of terracotta cakes, and here is a tank, water tank, maybe used for the industrial purposes. It's found with the industrial weights actually, and here are the some kind of weights, Harappan weights of the different sizes. So these are the industrial signatures which have been found from the site. Here are number of copper objects which has also been recovered, and the gold objects also, and beads and the metal slags. So this from these objects I have analyzed this one for the FESEM analysis. You can see here. So when I use the FEM EDS analysis, so this histogram and pie chart showing that it is mainly made up of copper, and the other impurities like zinc, nickel, copper, lead, arsenic, platinum has also been recorded from the site. And the noteworthy feature here is the 4% presence of 4% of silver. And the other abundance of the other relative elements has been found in this manner. And here is the magnetic susceptibility of the soil sediment recovered from the site during the different occupational phases along with the hearth sediment. So here you can see the hearth value sediment value varied from 53.4 to 212.8, which is quite high, and its average you can see here it's quite high value, and suggesting some kind of magnetic activity from the hearth sediment. And when we compare these values from the bed sediment, and it is showing the lesser value in comparison to the even to the mature phase sediments. So we can see the strongly affected anthropogenic fire activities and high temperature usage from the site. And here you can see the total sulfur content from the early phase towards the mature phase and the hearth. So high sulfur content in industrial hearth could be due to the high usage of the sulfur-rich material used for the metallurgical works. Here are the XRF elemental ratios of the elements. You can see here calcium, strontium, or phosphorus, copper, zinc. So here you can see there is an increasing kind of trend in all the sediment samples from bed to the hearth sample, and these samples are showing the enrichment pattern basically, and it has been it indicates that these elemental components has been used for the metallurgical purposes basically. So the conclusion so far drawn from the study is the 4MSR is an agricultural settlement during the early phase, which shifted towards industrialization during mature phase, along with an agricultural advancement. So during the early phase, the phase is mainly dominated by uniseasonal or winter crops mainly, but this scenario is based on cereal along with the leguminous and some oiliferous crops basically. The transitional phase showing the advent of the summer crops indicate the climate amelioration attributed to inception of strong Indian summer monsoon. And next, the mature phase is shown here is indicating the bi-seasonal cropping system were in practice, and it suggests indicate Intensification and diversification of crops likely due to the favorable winter and the summer precipitation both. So end of the mature phase, but millets were recorded due to the climatic conditions, maybe due to the relative lower moisture conditions, or maybe the drying of the river channel, which forced settlers to shift the cropping strategy in the region. And the adoption, intensification, and resilience in the face of changing social, economic, and environmental conditions. So the subsistence pattern has shown the continuity and in the subsistence pattern along with the environmental conditions. And the crop change during different occupational phases appears intentional, and it's not by chance, it's all the intentional crop management. So one more interesting thing which has been come from the site from MSR, which is the direct dated evidence of rice during the late mature Harappan phase, which suggests the pre-domestication cultivation of the rice from Ghaggar plains, and it's dated back to 2300 BC around. And the crop oil status, it's showing the mature phase has been evidenced from by the significant aridity, and it's when we compare it to the early and late transitional phase, it's showing the lesser water conditions or the drying of the river channel. So when we talk about delta 15 and the transitional and mature phase, mainly indicate the enhanced manuring practices and the crop management. So metallurgical prowess of the Harappan smith during this particular mature phase are shown by the geochemical investigation at the site, and it tells us about the burning history of the Harappan hearths along with the signature of large-scale industrial activities. So it all made the for MSR a unique rural industrial archaeometallurgical site along with the habitation and agricultural advancement. So I would like to thank my supervisor, Dr. Adil K. Pokharia, and Dr. Rajesh Satnamurthy also, and the SERP DST India for providing me the Senior Research Fellowship, and ASI India, and Excavation Branch, and IUAC. Thank you.